Lex Luthor has officially suited up, in more ways than one, on Superman and Lois as the series soars closer to the end. Monday's episode of the CW series finally saw Michael Cudlitz, rough around the edges iteration of the iconic DC Comics villain, shed his grizzled image for one much closer to the source material. At the top of the hour of Sharp Dressed Man, Lex Luthor became exactly that, shaving his beard and donning a tailored three-piece suit to project a clean-cut image as part of his plan to use lies and subterfuge to turn the public against Lois Lane, Elizabeth Tulloch, and Superman, Tyler Hoechlin. The biggest assist in Lex's plan came care of Godfrey, played by Arrowverse alum Tom Cavanaugh, as his mysterious final season role was finally revealed. Based on the DC Comics supervillain of the same name, this version of Godfrey is a popular TV host who cares more about making good entertainment than the pursuit of the truth. Basically the anti-Lois. Godfrey hosted Lex on The Godfrey Show for a solo interview where Lex challenged Lois to face off with him in a live debate, to which she accepted. Unfortunately, Lex's lies and Lois' lack of evidence against Lex meant that his plan was a success. It also didn't help that, at that exact moment, his brainiac, get it? Henchman Milton Fine, Nikolai Witchell, was able to hack into and steal John Henry, Wole Parks, and Natalie's Taylor Buck supersuits, causing Superman to crash through Lex's windows on live TV to fight the Rogue War Machine. By the end of the episode, Lex celebrated his win by kissing his second-in-command Amanda McCoy, Yvonne Chapman. With only 2 episodes left, things have never looked more dire for the Kent family. Below, Superman and Lois star Cudlitz talks stepping behind the camera to direct this episode, as well as, finally, getting to debut a more comic-accurate version of Lex. This is such a Lex-heavy episode, and you directed it as well. What was it like juggling all of that at the same time? Michael Cudlitz laughs. The inside of my head was a loud place at that time. Yeah, it was exciting and terrifying and wonderful and immensely creatively fulfilling. One of the first conversations I had with showrunner Todd Helbing when we were figuring out if it was going to work with me playing Lex was he brought up that I had directed over at Walking Dead. He asked me if I had any interest of doing that over here. I said, of course. I kind of thought this conversation might come up later, but of course. He mentioned it first and pursued it, and I was more than happy to jump on it. Again, I wasn't even hired yet as an actor, so I didn't want to presume that they would be open to me directing. A lot of these shows, especially by the time you get to the 3rd year as they were in, you have shorter seasons, you have established directors that work really well with the show that the cast loves. So to expect you're going to have an opportunity to do that is kind of silly, so to be having that brought to me by them was very exciting. And at the time, the show was not canceled. Oh my gosh, if this works out, this is a show that I can direct on for a number of years. Because I had watched the show, had already fallen in love with the show, so I was a fan of the show and knew the show was great, knew it was doing well at the network. In my mind, I was like, this is a no-brainer. This show's going to go for many, many years. It was all very exciting very early on. What was your reaction when you learned this was the episode you were going to direct, which features more Lex than we've gotten all season? It's kind of hilarious. I wasn't supposed to be in the episode when we initially talked about what I was going to direct. I said, I would love if we can have the episode that I direct be a little bit later in the season, just so I can really get my footing. I'm still really sorting out who Lex is. And they were all in agreement and said, absolutely. We were thinking that we're probably not going to have you be in the episode you're directing. It'll just be a lot easier for you, time-wise. I said, oh, awesome. We get into actually shooting the season, and I get a call from Todd. And he's like, we're laying out the rest of the season, and we think you're going to be in episode 8, but we're going to really try to work it so you're not in too much. There's nothing I can say, but okay, sure. Sounds great. And then I get the script. I call Todd and I go, laughs. I'm kind of in this quite a bit. And he tries to play it off. At this point, he's just giving me a hard time. He's like, no, you're just in the interview stuff? I said, Todd, that's like 4 days of shooting. He's like, well, yeah, but it's on the one set. I go, okay, I see where this is headed. He told me afterwards, I knew, but I had all the confidence in the world in you. I didn't want you to feel overwhelmed and have it sneak up on you, so I just really wanted to be supportive because I knew you were going to be fine. But yeah, it's a huge episode for Lex. Laughs, it's kind of weird because a tremendous amount happens in the episode, but there's no huge event that happens. There's a bunch of events that happen. It's the old, how do you eat a dinosaur story, one bite at a time. And that's how we approached the episode. We just started chunking away at it. What was it like debuting the iconic Lex Luthor look in this episode, with the shaved head, no beard, and tailored suit? It was awesome. I felt like we'd come full circle, finishing up the season with, like you just said, this iconic, traditional, current-day Lex look. The way I shot the beginning, the cold opening, I really wanted to have it be just a complete reveal for the audience. It's an incredible reveal visually because everybody's been wanting this Lex and asking, where is it? And even the people who early on were not happy about the beard, they've come around, most of them. There's some people who will not care for this version of Lex. That's fine. There's very, very divided camps when it comes to Superman and the characters. I've joked about this before. It's an incredibly large fan base because of the amount of time that this property has spanned, the generations this property spans. You have your traditionalists and people who love certain comics in certain worlds or certain universes. Or in the live action, they love Smallville, they love the Snyderverse or the Arrowverse. There's these camps within, but they all have the same thing in common. They love Superman. So there are going to be people who just do not care for what we are doing, or more specifically, what I'm doing with Lex. And I'm 100% fine with that. We're telling our story the best way that we can, and we feel very strongly about what we are telling. But to be able to come back to this iconic look and have that sort of wonderful reveal, how I approached it is just like a kid who would want to see this thing for the first time. I think we pay wonderful homage to the comic book itself, because in my vision for the cold opening, it's really just a bunch of comic panels, basically. And it's told in a very comic book way where we pan up and we don't see him. And then he turns and you see, and we push in and we reveal. It was really exciting and creatively satisfying for me. We need to talk about Lex and Amanda's kiss. What was it like filming that scene? And do you think that Lex is capable of feeling true feelings for someone?